You're watching South Florida's news station, WSVN 7. This is Channel 7 News at 6:30.
A standoff near Disney World. It is one of tonight's top stories, one we've been telling you all about since 5 o'clock. An armed standoff is still going on near Disney World tonight with a South Florida man on one side and SWAT teams on the other. This drama is unfolding at a resort hotel near the Magic Kingdom, where a man named Michael Kravitz, who is from South Florida, is apparently holding off deputies and Secret Service agents. The cops say Kravitz fired at least one shot when agents tried to arrest him this afternoon on charges of running a credit card scam.
At this point, operating under the assumption that he is armed, one would have to assume he is dangerous. In light of the fact that a shot was fired, I would think that he would be a serious threat.
Police say after Kravitz scuffled with Secret Service agents who tried to arrest him earlier today, he fled to his suite where he remains holed up tonight. Now, parts of this hotel have been evacuated of other guests. Here are some of the other top stories we are following for you tonight. 6 people dead after a desperate try to get to South Florida. They are stowaways from the Dominican Republic. They were found in a container ship in West Palm Beach. They were trapped on board this ship without food or water for days. We are told 2 other people did survive. They're being held by immigration.
The entertainment world is mourning the loss of another star. Actress Remick lost her battle with cancer today. She died at her home in Hollywood, California. Remick played leading roles in more than 30 films, but she is remembered most for her acting in Days of Wine and Roses. Her work there got her a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame only last April, and praise from another much-acclaimed actor.
There is nobody that I have respected more, that I love more, or that means more to me or is dearer as a human being and as a professional than Remick.
Remick, dead at the age of 55. A private funeral service for actor Michael Landon will be held tonight. Landon died yesterday from cancer. The 54-year-old actor first found fame for his role in the television series Bonanza, then with Little House on the Prairie, and then Highway to Heaven. Only friends and family will go to tonight's service, but a public memorial is being planned for his fans.
Homemade pipe bombs have South Florida cops really worried tonight. Detectives found a small arsenal of these devices during a bust in Coral Springs. Police arrested 4 young kids for selling them, but now there are at least 12 bombs missing, and investigators think some elementary school students may have them. Some of those pipe bombs equal to a stick and a quarter of dynamite.
Sedano Supermarket in the hot seat tonight. It is being sued for selling a soft drink tainted with cocaine. Maximo Mendez died last July after drinking cocaine-laced Pony Malta. He bought it at a Sedano's in Coral Gables, and now his family is suing. They say the bottle Menendez drank from had different markings than the real thing, and that Sedano's never should have sold it.
Fire from warplanes and tanks has shattered a 3-day ceasefire in Yugoslavia. The Yugoslav army reportedly opened fire on more than 1,000 civilians in the capital of Slovenia. CNN's Doug James has more on today's violence.
An earlier ceasefire was shattered at dawn this morning when a convoy of Yugoslav army tanks apparently tried to return to their barracks under a deal brokered by European Community foreign ministers. Slovenian defense forces stopped them at a barricade where fighting broke out. Federal warplanes swooped down on Slovenian positions in the Krakowski forest near the Croatian border. Since then, the 2 sides have been locked in fierce combat, and there are reports of heavy casualties. After several of their tanks were destroyed, federal forces called for reinforcements, and a convoy of 12 to 15 more tanks was seen heading to the battlefield. Slovenian militiamen vowed to stop them at the border. Fierce fighting has also been taking place along the borders of Austria and Italy as the Yugoslav military tried to retake captured international crossing points. Here in the capital of Ljubljana, air raid sirens sounded in the middle of the afternoon, sending people scurrying to shelters. A Yugoslav Air Force fighter tried to attack the city's main communications tower, but swerved away when defense forces fired 2 surface-to-air missiles at it. There have been reports of similar raids throughout the breakaway republic. As the fighting raged on, Slovenian leaders came up with a new ceasefire proposal. They said they would no longer prevent Yugoslav army tanks and other heavy vehicles from returning to their barracks so long as they were removed on flatbed trucks. In other words, not in an offensive position. Getting the federal tanks back to their barracks has been a major stumbling block toward a workable ceasefire. but the latest proposals may have come too late. Doug James, CNN, Ljubljana.
In Lebanon, government forces pushing Palestinian guerrillas out of 2 southern villages. For the first time in 16 years of civil war, the government is showing its power in the region. Army commandos pushed the guerrillas out of an area that had been claimed by the Palestine Liberation Organization. Officials say at least 1 Lebanese officer was killed and another 50 may have been injured.
President Bush back from Maine and in Washington today, where he welcomed South Korea's president during a ceremony on the White House lawn. U.S. troops have been leaving Korea because the country is starting to defend itself. But Mr. Bush assured him that the U.S. will be there to help maintain peace.
New York cops blaming a drunk driver for a deadly accident at a crowded bus stop. Several people were getting off a bus in Brooklyn when a car went flying onto the sidewalk. A pregnant woman and her unborn child were killed. 3 other women were critically injured. Police have arrested the man, Antoni Stanislovic, and charged him with drunk driving, but they say he may also be charged with killing that woman.
Detroit cops have arrested several suspects in connection with a videotaped gang attack on white women. It happened Friday night after a fireworks display. The cops say the trouble started when a black woman tried to steal a white woman's purse. The victim is the woman in the purple dress. And as you can see, a gang attacked the woman. Other women reported similar attacks that same night. Police are now looking for 3 other suspects. Rescuers say a California surfer is lucky to be alive tonight after a shark attack. 32-year-old Eric Larson was surfing off Santa Cruz yesterday when the shark grabbed him. It bit him several times and then pulled him under. The surfer says he finally yanked open the jaws of the shark and freed his arm, and then he shoved his surfboard into the shark's mouth as it left. Larson is now in the hospital after 10 hours of surgery.
Over 1 million people in Pennsylvania having a tough time making a phone call tonight. Telephone service to customers in southwestern Pennsylvania keeps getting interrupted. Engineers just really don't know what's causing the problem, but they say they think the culprit may be a computer virus. Phone executives say Pennsylvania's problem is not as widespread, though, as the one that recently hit Washington, D.C. Last week, outages affected more than 10 million customers in that area. Some states in the Northeast are having huge budget problems. Maine now officially closed for business. The governor of Maine shut down all non-essential services, outraging state workers. The State Employees Association handed out close to 70 no-interest loans by early afternoon. Nearby, Connecticut is also struggling over a new budget. State officials there say they may follow Maine's example and close down their offices.
A story of espionage coming out of Cuba tonight. Channel 7's Rick Sanchez with tonight's headlines from Cuba. Rick?
All right, Joan. Cuban officials tonight are saying that one of their agents got into the United States, infiltrated the CIA, and even worked as a producer for TV Marti in Washington. They identify the man as Jose Fernandez. They say he lived in the U.S. for 3 years. In that relatively short period of time, he got into the FBI, the CIA, and the U.S. Information Agency. The Castro government calls him Agent Orion. They say he arrived in the United States back in 1988. They say he returned to Cuba just last month. Now, we have checked with some officials. The FBI, for example, tonight is saying they know of no such man, and it would be almost impossible to infiltrate the FBI in just 3 short years. Tonight, officials with TV Marti say he did work there for a while. He had very few political ties, and mostly he was interested in doing features. Nonetheless, this is a response today from the Castro government. Back to you.
Coming up next, an appeal for money to solve the mystery of Amelia Earhart, and cosmetic surgery for some former presidents in need of a facelift.
You're watching Channel 7 News at 6:30 with Penny Daniels and Joan Lovett.
Now come laugh with the gang that won't play it straight when Hollywood meets Mr. Mob.
I've become a real scumbag.
This is the hippest gangster movie ever made.
Impressive.
Look at this. It's Joe Piscopo, Danny DeVito, Marilu Henner, and Mr. Michael Keaton.
My name's Dangerously. Johnny Dangerous.
Did you know your last name's an adverb?
It's Johnny Dangerously, the movie that'll make you wonder why.
Crime doesn't pay.
Wednesday on the WSVN 7 Movie at 8.
There is
In Salisbury, Maryland.
And you receive this consumer information catalog and sample booklets for free.
When they ask what you paid for this information, tell them nothing.
Absolutely free.
Case dismissed.
A Hollywood house was destroyed in a fire late this afternoon. In fact, we just got these pictures back from the scene. Neighbors say that they smelled smoke for about 20 minutes or so before they saw anything. But obviously, as you can see, there was plenty to see by the time the fire department got there. No one hurt in this fire. It was on Garfield Street, but the house is completely destroyed. Fire department's investigating.
People who say they know where Amelia Earhart disappeared say they need some cash to find her plane. Earhart was trying to become the first woman to fly around the world when she disappeared 54 years ago today. A Delaware group says it knows exactly where her plane is. They say it's on an island in the Pacific Ocean.
I'm as certain as I can be that we have the answer to the Earhart mystery. The only thing I'm not certain about at this point is what's left there for us to find.
The group plans to start looking for the plane in October, but first they've got to come up with about $400,000 to pay for the search.
After 37 years, a mother and daughter are reunited. Judy Benson was just 13 years old and living in Oklahoma when she got pregnant, so she chose to give her daughter up for adoption. But recently, Laura Kepka decided to track her mother down. She found her in Kansas and got the tearful reunion she had hoped for.
It couldn't have been any better than I could have ever dreamed about.
Good.
And when I finally decided that I wanted to know, I asked Mom what your name was, and she told me, and it was 3 weeks, and I found her.
Judy says she has no regrets about giving her daughter up for adoption. Now the two just want to get to know each other and make up for some lost time.
A couple of our nation's presidents are getting a facelift, you might say. Tomorrow is Mount Rushmore's 50th birthday, but a couple of her presidents aren't weathering too well. A huge restoration project is now underway on the South Dakota, that is, monument. The project has special meaning for one of the original sculptors.
If we were to realize then what we realize now, it would have been much different.
You had no idea?
We had no idea at the time. Times were hard, and we wanted a job. We appreciated it, of course, but we appreciate it more now.
Might be nice if it was in South Florida. Geologists have been analyzing the cracks in Mount Rushmore. Now sculptors are working to make sure the presidential shrine will be around for a long time to come.
Coming up next, Bob Soper with a rainy forecast.
The U.S. Post Office making noise tonight. Noise most of us expect, but don't really like to hear.
And talk about comebacks. A familiar airline returns for passenger service in Florida.
What can you say about a woman who never finishes anything she starts?
Depression.
What can you say about a woman who's been a spectator all her life?
I can't swim. I'm addicted to nicotine.
Now it's her turn to sink.
Oh, come on, Mom.
Or swim.
She's going to be in the Hawaiian Triathlon.
Not a chance.
This is nuts.
Double the pain and she doubles the gain.
I love you.
Penny Marshall's about to re-enter the human race and make it the challenge of a lifetime.
Tonight on the WSVN 7 Movie at 8.
Mothers, fathers, can we talk? How are you going to get your children to learn so they can earn? You know what I mean. Off your charge cards and out on their own. How? By getting them to read and to keep them reading. I know yours won't read, right? Wrong. Read to Achieve is a new national program with a list of books that work. They're funny books and factual books. They're wonderful books. Read to Achieve. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Parents' Choice, Box 185, Newton, Massachusetts, 02168.
Winners do it drug-free. Kick it. Any questions?
Live from the Channel 7 Weather Center, Bob Soper.
Rain and thunderstorms continue to pound northern parts of Dade County, extending offshore Broward County. They're moving toward the east, so eventually these showers will make it out over the ocean. There's not too much to come out to the west of us, and so hang in there, South Florida, about another hour or so, and most of this rain should be out of the picture. Meanwhile, a thunderstorm out in the southeastern corner of Lake Okeechobee, and then that line extending out toward Grand Bahama. Once again, everything moving toward the east. There'll be a few lingering showers overnight, but don't look for much. It'll generally be partly cloudy. Overnight lows 74 to 76 inland, 79 degrees beaches to Keys. Tomorrow's highs in the low 90s inland, but the upper 80s along the beaches to the Keys. And of course, some afternoon thunderstorms around. Boating weather for Dade Broward waters out to the Bahama Bank. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15 knots. Seas 2 feet or less. Bay waters light to a moderate chop. In the Keys, winds south to southeast at 10 knots. Seas 1 to 2 feet. Bay waters a light chop. 4th of July weekend, lots of sunshine the first part of the day, but look out for scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Lows in the